The member for Greenway.
Mr Speaker, my question is to the Prime Minister. Today the Prime Minister's hand-picked NBN CEO Bill Morrow said about the NBN, and I quote, "It's too early to tell whether or not it's a success or a failure." In the 5th year of the Prime Minister's mismanagement of his second-rate copper NBN, when no one else is to blame, is this really the best the government can do? Why isn't the Prime Minister doing anything to fix the problems which are plaguing the NBN on his watch?
The Leader of the House and the member for Greenway will cease interjecting. The Leader of the House will cease interjecting, as will the member for Greenway. The Minister has the call.
I do thank the Shadow Minister for the question, which I'm delighted to have the opportunity to answer, because I think it's timely to remind ourselves of how we got here. How did we get here? And the Prime Minister has rightly spoken about the murky land of Conrovia. But there's another land. There's another land where there was briefly responsibility for the NBN, the land of Albonia, because we remember, Mr. Speaker.
I caution the minister.
The member for Greenway. The member for Greenway briefly had responsibility for the NBN. It was during that downfall phase of the Rudd government. It's like that scene in the bunker in the movie Downfall, when Kevin Rudd was bringing together his loyal band of supporters and he was handing out battlefield promotions, and the member for Greenway got responsibility for the NBN.
The Minister will resume his seat.
You're loving this, come on.
Members on my right are delaying question time. The member for Greenway with a point of order.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. None of us are from the land of nitwits, and he's certainly not a wit.
The member for Greenway is warned, and he will resume his seat. I'm discounting for provocation. That's true. The minister has the call.
During his brief period as minister, and members would recollect from discussions in the House last week that in the 4 years between Kevin Rudd announcing the new NBN and Labor scuttling out of office, members would remember that in the seat of Dobell, the number of services on the fixed network in those 4 years went from 0 to 0. In 4 years, they went from 0 to 0. And unsurprisingly, in his brief period as the minister, the member for Greenway was asked some questions about how the Labor Party was administering the NBN. And what he had to say was this. In a press conference, he said, "You mightn't like the answer. We are rolling out the NBN as fast as it can be rolled out." That's what he said. 0%. We are rolling out the NBN as fast as it could be rolled out, and just a couple of months later, they exited office with barely 50,000 premises able to connect. Barely 50,000 premises able to connect. We now have well over 6 million premises able to connect, and over 2 million that actually are connected. So when the Shadow Minister presumes to contrast this government's record of delivery of the NBN with Labor's shambolic and hopeless record, I say to her, we didn't want to start from where we did, but we have been getting on with the job. Over 6 million premises now able to connect.
The minister's time
that's very
has
important.
concluded.